can't just pollute stuff anymore. It isn't cool in any stretch of the imagination. So either you react and you come along with this, or you're getting left behind. It's as simple as that.
Welcome to What a Waste, the podcast that protects you from fines, failures and fallouts of poor waste management and gives you clear, simple steps to stay safe, compliant and confident. We're here at Environmental Solutions Destruction Facility. And if you finish a bottle of water, you throw it into the recycling bin, you feel good. But then the truck comes. Does it go to the recycling plant? Does it get shipped to an incinerator in Europe? Or does it end up in a landfill site just 5 miles down the road? Most businesses have no idea. One client was shocked to discover their valuable cardboard was being landfilled because of a single labelling error. Today, we follow that truck. We find out where your waste really goes and why knowing the answer could win your next big contract. I'm Darren Draper and I'm joined by Gareth Ward. And if anyone has seen the full life cycle of waste, it's him. After 20 years, he's watched everything from cardboard to chemicals travel through the system. You've probably been inside more waste facilities than most people have had hot dinners. And he's here to show us the truth behind the bin and how to turn the truth into a competitive advantage. Gareth, welcome. Be honest, when you drive past a landfill site, what goes through your mind?
Honestly, I probably want to jump in it. Is the first thing. Reason why I want to do that, obviously with PPE on, is just to get an understanding of what is going in there. There was a recent landfill site just off the M4 that was being filled, and driving past that, you just see an array of birds all around it, picking up stuff, dropping it around. All the area around that is where the wind's got and blown it all away. And although I'm far away from where I'm looking, it looks recyclable. It looks recyclable, and that's probably the hardest bit of it. Whilst it's still there, whilst there is general waste available to people, and whilst people don't have the correct awareness training, it's just going to happen.
Why is it so secretive what ends up in landfill?
I think because there is an element of low interest from people. I think historically there has been. It's waste services, again, something that happens in the shadows that people aren't really aware of. And perhaps that, coupled with the fact that waste management companies aren't particularly forthcoming with explaining processes and procedures and waste flows and that type of stuff, and add to the fact that there's so much legislation and regulation attached to the industry, I think that ultimately is what turns people off and turns people away. So that's what we're trying to fix.
Brilliant. So let's start with the potential. Is it true we're throwing away treasure? So you could describe waste as like a box of Lego bricks. The value comes from when we sort it properly.
Yeah, 100%. I think what people need to understand is the reason for recycling is to reuse those materials. So, you take a simple thing like paper and cardboard. They have been produced as a result of cutting trees down and producing paper and card products from it. We've got a two-prong attack there, and where we want to hit is the fact that we want to limit how many trees are being cut down. Trees are massively important to take CO2 out of the environment, provide oxygen for us, keep the topsoil from being washed away, to provide shelter for animals, to provide habitat for animals. Like, trees are awesome. And then the other side of it is that paper and card are very easily identifiable. I think everybody watching today could say they can distinguish what a bit of paper is and what a bit of cardboard is. And even to a degree, they can differentiate between paper and cardboard. And in fairness, why I say that is there is an element where paper becomes card and there are certain tests that you do to qualify it. But they're recyclable. They're easy. But there's still an element of effort that needs to be made, coupled with the fact that you need the right recycling system and able to capture these things. But it's it's the point. If we can recycle these materials, not only are we saving things like trees and the manufacturing process of taking raw wood pulp and making that into paper, but the recycling of paper, for example, uses loads less water, loads less energy, and it is very quick and easy to achieve this circular economy that we talk about within ESG. So this is where we have to go, I think, and this is where the more awareness and ownership and understanding that we can give to clients, the better we can boost these systems, save our planet.
And so some people might have heard from energy from waste, from incineration. Does that count as recycling?
It's not recycling in the hierarchy of waste. It comes down near the bottom, next or just above landfill. But as far as a waste disposal service goes, it is good. It is good. It reduces the volume. If you look at the issues that we've had, just not a million miles away from here, up in Sherwell at the moment, where you've had a massive area next to the M40 just filled with rubbish. That's what it looks like. And that's what it looked like at a landfill site. So the beauty of the energy from waste sites is that, you know, where it was going into the ground and at best you might be able to farm the methane that comes off of it. What we're able to do now is one of two things. We can get the calorific value back out of the waste, so long as we process that waste before we put it into incinerator. So i.e. remove stuff that shouldn't be incinerated, like the metals that would be in there, if there's cans or tins that have slipped in. And then overall, you're reducing that chance of waste blowing around, causing extra pollution by going across boundaries where it shouldn't.
And if you're curious about where your waste goes, visit eswm.org.uk/waterwaste, where you can learn more about the webinars, the training sessions to create further awareness, and maybe even a free site visit from Environmental Solutions. So let's talk about why it matters, though. It's not just about hugging trees. This is business strategy. This is about reputation.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think any company that's serious about itself can deny that. Look at any tender that you're completing now for potential business. All of them are going to ask you about your environmental policy. All of them are going to ask you whether you have an international standard for environment, the ISO 14001. It's that important that it could be the difference between you winning a contract and not winning a contract if they're the last bits that it comes down to. So that's why it's imperative. We can't go backwards now. Everything is on the table. Everybody's aware of it. You can't just pollute stuff anymore. It isn't cool in any stretch of the imagination. So we have to. Either you react and you come along with this, or you're getting left behind. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. And we can't report what's not measurable. So what should businesses be measuring to call themselves sustainable?
Well, we've got the baseline data that we record. So that'll be physical weights that's coming out of that place. So depending on what waste streams, recycling streams they get set up. So our clients would get weights of individual waste streams created on a monthly, quarterly, on a yearly basis. And then it's what we can do with that data. So we've got some pretty cool calculations that we can do with regards to recycling, for example. So with recycling not ending up in a landfill site, decomposing, breaking down and releasing the carbon that's trapped in it back into the environment, which we're trying to avoid, we can capture the amount of carbon that we've saved from recycling those materials. So, and we can do that in kilograms. So what that will then help to do is customers of ours that are looking at their carbon footprint and reducing that, our figures and data can help work towards that. Another data point that we extract from that is also the megawatt hours of energy that's being produced from sending their general waste for energy from waste. So that's a key element. Other bits that we would produce is also calculate how many trees they've saved from being cut down as a result of their recycling efforts. So we've got the two main or three main data points of reporting that's going to be relevant and it's going to work into any ESG report. So you've got your overall waste, weight, you've got your CO2 saving, and you've got your megawatt hours. What that will give us initially is a stamp and a target, and once we've got those figures, then we've got something to play with. We've got something measurable that if we were then setting targets, going back to our continual improvement, trying to get the company better and better, that is what we can use to do that. So we know we'd normally work on like your percentages. So if we'll take on a client, they start off maybe 75% of the waste that they're producing is going into general and 25% is recycling. So our first goal is to really study that general waste, understand what's going in there, not only physically by looking at it, but also talking to staff, understanding what they're producing, how they dispose of it. And then it is a case of making sure that once staff are aware of it, we have got all the processes set up in place. They know how to use it. They know what to do. And then it is a case of putting in some measures that we can start to then pull out some of that recycling from the general waste and then start to even out their impact. So an ideal initial goal would be a 50% general waste and 50% recycling.
And those figures, you would work with your waste management company to work out where they can be maintained and improved upon.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that is the key. We need a starting point. We need a line in the sand. We need a stamp to say this is where we're starting from. And then it is a case of, it might be a 3-year strategy that you put in place. With some quick and some clever work, like some of our awareness training or whatever, you might deliver that in 6 or 9 months. But the starting point has to be, where are we? What are we doing? What are our impacts? What do we do as a business? What can we do to reduce those impacts?
This isn't about judgment. This is about clarity on the direction we're going. So we just understand where we currently are.
Yeah, exactly. Like, companies need to know what their impact is. Like, you're using fuel, you're using electricity. What is the impacts of that? Is there ways to reduce it? Like, one of the things that we've done over the last few years to reduce our carbon footprint is our investment in new vehicles. So like, all our vehicles now are running like as a minimum Euro 6 engine, and we know that has less emissions and is a cleaner engine, and it's also future proofing it. So half of running a waste management company is that we need to make sure we're sustainable. We're giving all our promises to our clients, and we're going to do this for them, we're going to do that for them. We need to invest in our technology as well, make sure that, in a year's time, in 5 years' time, in 10 years' time, we can still deliver to the degree that we need to deliver. If we were to stay on old engines, which will end up getting banned, then we're going to get stuck pretty quickly on servicing and carrying out our responsibilities.
Brilliant. And if you're worried your report's a little bit blank at the moment, visit Environmental Solutions at eswm.org.uk/water waste. Gareth, I'm going to name a few items found in a typical office bin. I want you to tell me its likely destination if it's treated badly versus its destination if it's treated well. So, dirty pizza box.
Dirty pizza box is a good one. If we're saying dirty, then we're saying maybe that's some grease on that cardboard. If there's half a pizza in there, then that's a little bit different. So we're talking no pizza, no food, but grease remnants, maybe a little bit of cheese stuck on it. We would recycle that, and we would ask people to put that into the recycle bin.
Okay. Clear plastic water bottle.
Clear plastic water bottle, a recycler's dream. Please put that into your recycling bin.
Yeah. So I've got noted down here, if it goes into landfill, could be up to 400 years.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy stats on plastic. It just doesn't really biodegrade, and it's not just about how it biodegrades. It's the way it biodegrades. So what happens with plastic is over time, the first thing it does is it dries out, right? And as it starts to dry out, it becomes brittle. Now, as plastic biodegrades, it doesn't just like melt or just disappear. It starts to flake. So what you've got, a little bit of plastics that start to then flake off, that then will get blown in the wind and what have you. And then remember, we have this little issue with like microplastics. So that's where it leads to. So I read a stat only a few days ago that I think all of us consume an amount of microplastic every week. So if you want to know the source of it, or at least some of the sources of it, it could come down to just not recycling your plastic bottle. So if there's a motivator for people to do it, easily recyclable, make sure you dispose of it. If we're talking about things I hate seeing around, it would be a plastic bottle laying on the floor in a park somewhere next to a little ditch or something like that.
Brilliant. And last one, an aluminium can.
Aluminium can, super easy to recycle. The difference with things like metals is like they'll last pretty much forever. We can just keep recycling them, keep recycling them, keep recycling. But in order to do that, they've got to go into the recycle bin.
And 60 days, you could be drinking out that same can if you recycle it.
It's true. It's what happens, yeah. But only if it goes into the recycle bin.
Completely. And that's our responsibility.
Yeah, we can police stuff to a degree. We can advise, we can train, we can do all of these things. But my first port of call is to get the company and the staff on board so that we're all on the same page, and then we smash it. And it does very, very well.
Brilliant. So we know the journey's complex. What does Environmental Solution do to ensure good destination happens every time?
Talking, communicating, understanding. I don't think of the hundreds and hundreds of customers that we have, I don't think any of them has exactly the same waste management system at all. And bearing in mind, we work with multiple companies within the same industry, but there's still little nuances of difference. You got one company that's got 10 employees, another that's got 100, might do the same thing. They'll have a different waste output. So that is probably the key, is each one needs to be looked at, needs to be understood. Only way we're going to do that is get communication, get an understanding with it, and get the client comfortable with us. There's numerous occasions where I've gone in first time to see a client, and I can notice with them they're holding back. There's something they're not sure whether they feel that if they say the wrong thing, I'm going to report them to the EA or something like that. We're the line of defense before the EA. That's where we come into the mix. So we offer the protection, that front line, to make sure that everything is correct. But this is where my job comes in, is it's down to me to then gain that confidence with the client, to make sure that they know as soon as possible that I'm on their side. I'm coming from the side of both angles. I'm on the client side, and I'm also massively on the Environment Agency side. I absolutely respect what they're doing, and the job that they have to do is a difficult job. So in a way, I'm like one of their kind of workers on the ground, if you like. The EA audit us, they entrust us to work under the permit that we have, and they come in and audit us, make sure we're doing it all correctly. But they're representing our land, our air, our water, our waste management, but they're not necessarily client facing. With my experience of 20 years in this industry, they can still put me in a position where I'm like, I don't necessarily understand exactly what they're saying. They're human beings like all the rest of us, right? But I've got probably a better chance than some of my clients. So I work with the EA, understand that. I've got communications externally with my consultants, if there's questions that I don't understand, so if the EA was to say something, oh, you need to have build a shelter to put your cardboard under, I can go to my consultant and I'll say to them something like, oh, the EA's just said that I have to have all my cardboard inside a building or covered. Is that correct? And my consultant will be able to consult on me, and he'll come back and he goes, oh, no, it's not correct. The reason why they want it covered is to stop for the potential of excess sunlight, it getting too hot and potentially causing a fire. So a simple structure with a cover on the top that will just take the sun off it will suffice. But that took a while. And that was some forwards and backwards and understanding and going back to the EA and saying, what about if we do this and do that? And we worked to a resolve with them. So I don't want any of my clients to have that sort of issues or problems to deal with. We sort those sort of stuff out. So again, that's the extreme of it. Our clients wouldn't be in positions like that necessarily with the EA, but there's other elements that could affect them. So it's about knowing them before they happen and then using that experience to put a system in place that will ensure their compliance no matter what.
And you've got a zero to landfill guarantee.
Yeah.
How do you prove it?
We audit it. We have to. There's no other way you can do that. So we work with a number of subcontractors. We obviously have to put sustainability into everything that we do. So we couldn't have one supplier that we took energy from waste to. We need a backup for that. So we may need 2 or 3. So it's a case of testing them. Now, to get those 2 or 3, we've probably had to have gone to 10. And then we'll work out quickly. Anyone that has the potential or access to landfill, to me, that's a risk. Because the recycling depot's full. It's getting to that point on a Friday. It can't fit any more waste in it. Oh, just take it down the road and stick it in the landfill site. If you haven't got that option available, you can't use it. So we'll have pre-qualifications that we'll go to it, and then we'll physically visit site, just like our clients can come to us here and visit what we're doing here. I want to know what their systems are. I want to know what their process is. If their site they take to get energy from waste fills up, we need backups of the backups of the backups. So that's how we prove it, and that's how we show it. And the only way that you can confidently, hand on heart, say that it's going where you're going is physical audits, writing it down, looking for those red flags, listening to any terms, anything that gives you some sort of suspicion. That is what we're well versed in. We've seen it all, we've heard it all, seen all the excuses and all the rest of it. So that is the position that we put ourselves in front of our clients in order to make sure that everything that they're getting is compliant.
Brilliant. And if you're interested in learning more about this zero to landfill guarantee, visit eswm.org.uk/water waste. So Gareth, let's wrap up with some takeaways. What are the 3 steps that an organisation or an individual can take to move towards that zero landfill?
Well, I think first thing to note is that it's not impossible. It's definitely possible, and it can be well within their budget. There doesn't have to be a choice made from a monetary value. Second thing is they've got to do their research. Don't just make do with what you've got, thinking that is everything that's available to you. You'll be surprised. Be conscious and aware of salespeople. Good hearts, it's in the right place. I'm sure if we were delivering everything that they promised their customers, the world could potentially be in a better place. But we have to be real with this. And we have to be able to deliver what we're saying in real time. And if it sounds too good to be true, there's a chance it might be.
Gareth, thank you. And thank you for your 20 years of passion. And thank you for joining us. And let's clean up this planet one bin at a time.